Welcome to the Hispanic Patriot podcast, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed, very undisclosed location today in the heart of the newest battleground state, Colorado. America forever. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. My name is Nicholas Razo, and without further ado, I present to you all our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez Rey. Give it up for the Hispanic Patriots.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly edition of the Hispanic Patriot. We are broadcasting deep behind enemy lines, as Nick mentioned. So we have to watch what we say. No, we don't. We have full autonomy here.
As Reagan said, let us be shy no longer.
Yes. Well, there's a lot going on in the state and around the world. So we've got a lot on the plate tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about a clown that decided to threaten the president, the Iran situation, and we're going to talk about Grandma Loves Trump, Mamdani in hot water already. Trump.
That didn't take long.
A man of the people, Trump. And we have a special meeting with the Colorado GOP this Saturday. And, of course, the Democrats at the state legislature with another gem where they want to legalize prostitution.
You guys are not going to want to miss this episode.
So without further ado, let's launch right into what's going on. Our first story of the night is about this guy that decided to threaten the president, and he got a knock on the door from SWAT.
2025. The Lake County Sheriff's Office SWAT team moved in on a quiet residential street in Winthrop Harbor, Illinois. Not for a routine call, but at the direct request of the United States Secret Service. Their target, 57-year-old Trent Schneider, a man who had been under federal investigation for making repeated, explicit death threats against the President of the United States on social media.
That'll do it.
Starting October 16th, Schneider posted a video of himself on Instagram in which he declared his intention to obtain firearms and carry out violence. He posted that same video 18 separate times over 5 days. He followed it with images and captions, repeatedly calling for the president's execution.
This guy's not too bright, huh?
Well, he is a suburban Chicagoan.
When federal agents visited his home on October 22nd to question him, he became irate, ordered them off his property, and within the hour posted a video of them leaving, along with yet another threat. What you are about to see is the Lake County Sheriff's SWAT team executing the Secret Service's arrest warrant.
Eastside front door. Ready? Subject at the door.
Here.
Show your hand! Trent, this is the Lake County Sheriff's Police. We have an arrest warrant for you.
Walk towards me! Walk towards me! Walk towards me! Walk towards me! Keep your hands in the air! Walk towards me!
Hands in the air.
Keep coming! Good boy.
Are you serious?
Do you have anybody else inside the house right now?
No.
There's nobody else inside the house right now?
What in the fuck is going on?
We have an arrest warrant. Arrest.
For what?
We'll talk about it in a minute, sir.
Hey, there's no. I mean, are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, they're serious.
Alright, just put him down.
Does this look unserious?
Do you have anything on you?
No, my God.
Other than this knife?
Unbelievable. What in the fuck?
Spread your feet.
This is unbelievable.
He thinks it's an SNL skit. Am I being punked?
Dude, this is unbelievable.
This side's clear. If you want to check that side.
Dude, are you guys... what in the fuck? Obviously, people watch. How could I get anything illegal or what you guys... Unbelievable.
Forgot to give the graphic warning, but this is real life, folks.
This is like a...
Trust me, this is not
Can they send a car up? Sir, is there anything inside the house?
No.
Any type of... Hold on. Any type of explosives or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
I have to ask. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Is there anything, broken glass, anything like that?
Broken glass?
Yeah. Hold on. The reason I ask is, if I send my dog into the house, I don't want the dog getting injured by broken glass.
There's nothing that should injure...
That's why I'm asking.
I have my dad's dogs come over here.
I'm asking.
It's
just a series of questions that I have to ask.
No, this is going to be... Space Force must be watching all this. Oh my God. This is unbelievable. No, there's nothing that's going to hurt anybody in there.
Okay. Heel?
We got one of them. Yeah, I'll grab.
Why don't we work on that? Let's get him out of here.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. This is all... You're watching a movie. You're watching a movie because why on earth would you guys...
He's going to have to back up a little bit.
Are you guys...
Not like a
what is
movie.
it? Central
They're
casting?
out a movie.
Is this central casting? It must...
Yeah, he won't be talking like that when he gets to the prosecution part.
Maybe simulcasting. But
Looks like we got a little lag here on the video, folks. Hold on.
Central casting. What exactly am I being...
So we have an agent that's going to sit down and talk to you. Okay?
Oh my God.
And he'll be able to explain all.
what is his charge? Having a yo-yo? Succulent Chinese yo-yo?
Don't worry about doing a transfer right now.
Okay.
And then, not yet, stand by. We were securing the target.
Gotta love it. He's playing dumb now.
You want to go ahead and send your dog?
Yeah. I want to get up with a shield.
All right, give me a shield team.
I guarantee he knows exactly what he's being arrested for.
Can he raise up?
Unbelievable what you guys did to my yard.
All right, let's walk him out to the street.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You guys take an oath and I haven't even done anything. Unbelievable.
I'm Tracy.
That same afternoon, he appeared in federal court for his initial appearance. During the hearing, Schneider displayed unusual behavior, asking the judge if he could be put up in the Trump motel with popcorn until his detention hearing scheduled for Thursday. Schneider also mentioned that one of his posts had been taken down and put back up, and discussed his mental health multiple times during the hearing. Schneider is charged with one federal count, making a true threat to injure another person in interstate commerce. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in federal prison and a fine of up to $250,000. The case is being prosecuted by the United States Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois. As of this broadcast, Schneider remains in federal custody. His case is ongoing. On the morning of November 3rd...
There you go, folks.
Well, I want to first just say shout out to the Lake County Sheriff's Office. My dear cousin, was actually a Lake County Sheriff. And I want to give a quick shout out to his place, which is Buffalo Ridge Farms, where you can find all kinds of organic honey and fruits.
Yep. Just a quick aside here. If you're watching and you're on social media, don't be making stupid comments about threatening the president or anybody else for that matter.
Bad for your health.
And then, think that it's just going to be let go. In today's environment, every threat is taken seriously and you will pay the consequences. So I hope they prosecute this guy to the full extent. So anyway.
Well, as my generation's most famous comedy group, Whitest Kids You Know, had an entire skit about it is illegal to say, I want to hurt the president of the United States of America. It's okay for me to say that because I'm informing you, don't say that, but do not say that on the internet. It's a horrible idea. Side tangent, I actually had a friend who was much more lucky than this, who just had to calmly explain to the FBI agents, no. I was making fun of people who do not have a seriousness in actually threatening the president. 'Cause let's be honest, President Trump is probably the most threatened president of like our recent history. So I think he's on the lookout pretty sharply, especially since he had survived an assassination attempt before.
Okay. I just want to make a quick announcement that Nick is working from a remote location today. So if you see activity behind him, pay no attention to the man in the screen.
Well, actually, this gives a great time for another shout out is that we are actually, me and several other of our associates are partnering with the Homeland PAC, which is a nationalist-based PAC specifically geared for young people, their mentors, and those who want to restore the country. And we are, in fact, creating Homeland Studio, which you guys will be seeing in the coming weeks, and just a greatly improved quality of everything we're doing here, and we can't wait to share more with you in the coming weeks.
Awesome. All right. Moving along, we've got some news coming out of Iran. If you've been paying attention to the news, you know that the mullahs are not taking President Trump seriously. And now it looks like there's about a 90% chance that they're going to pay the price. So we're hoping that in the next 24 to 48 hours that the Ayatollah decides that his better option is to just pack up and move on and avoid having his country bombarded, because President Trump means business as always. So let's tune into this headline here.
Fierce power is on the way. Everything is on the table. The president is adding a weapon to the U.S. aircraft carriers, fighter jets, and weapons that he's already sent to the Middle East. He's called it an armada. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. That armada includes the world's largest warship, the USS Gerald Ford, which is now on its way there. The USS Abraham Lincoln arrived to the region late last month. Axios reporting with this headline: Trump moves closer to a major war with Iran. A U.S. military operation in Iran would likely be a massive weeks-long campaign that would look more like full-fledged war than last month's pinpoint operation in Venezuela, sources.
Let's make one thing clear. The administration has stated that this is not a boots-on-the-ground type of a operation. So there is no danger at this time of having our troops on the ground in harm's way, so to speak. This is it's going to be an air assault, and very strategic, of course, and surgical.
Such a war would have a dramatic influence on the entire region and major implications for the remaining 3 years of the Trump presidency. All of that in Axios. And this, the Vice President, J.D. Vance.
We do have a very powerful military. The president's shown a willingness to use it. He also has a remarkable diplomatic team. He's shown a willingness to use that, too. Our primary interest here is we don't want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. We don't want nuclear proliferation. If Iran gets a nuclear weapon, there are a lot of other regimes, some friendly, some not so friendly, who would get nuclear weapons after them. That would be a disaster for the American people. The president has all options on the table.
Chief International Correspondent Trey Yinks. Trey.
Harris, good morning. A massive amount of U.S. military equipment continues to flood into the Middle East in preparation for action against Iran. Reports indicate the U.S. has moved more than 50 fighter jets to the region over the past 24 hours alone. Along with the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group already in place and the USS Gerald R. Ford on the way, there are a variety of other U.S. Navy assets in the Red and Mediterranean seas. While talks on Tuesday left both sides saying that progress progress was made, there are still major questions about Iran's willingness to curb their nuclear program or address the growing regional ballistic missile threat. Yesterday on Fox News, Vice President J.D. Vance was asked about the negotiations.
They agreed to meet afterwards, but in other ways it was very clear that the president has set some red lines that the Iranians are not yet willing to actually acknowledge and work through. So we're going to keep on working it, but of course the president reserves the ability to say when he thinks that diplomacy has reached its natural end. We hope we don't get to that point, but if we do, that'll be the president's call.
The Iranians continue to threaten the United States. From the supreme leader to lower-level commanders, the IRGC has promised to go after American military interests in the event of escalation in the region. Iran's president has tried to strike a more diplomatic tone on nuclear issues, despite the threatening rhetoric from the rest of Iranian leadership.
We have stated these many times. My own statements are not important. What matters from an ideological standpoint is the policy and the fatwa of the supreme leader. We are in no way seeking nuclear weapons. Whatever form of verification they want to carry out, we are ready for that verification to take place.
Here in Israel, officials reportedly believe war could erupt in a matter of days and are preparing accordingly.
As is the usual.
Great reporting as always. Thank you for getting us started, Trey Yingst.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out if the mullahs have any brains or not. But if they think they're going to saber rattle against President Trump, they're making a huge mistake, because President Trump is not one to threaten idly. If he says do it or else, he means do it or else. So obviously, we as Americans, we hope there is no need for that. But we have a very, like the president, vice president said, we have a very powerful military operation in place, and Iran is fooling themselves if they think they're going to be able to withstand an attack from the U.S. military.
Well, especially now, because all of Iran's proxies have been decisively defeated. The Iranian-backed Shias in Syria, that was a tongue twister that I was able to get through. In Iraq, in Lebanon, across the entire Middle East, the Shia-aligned powers that Iran was building have been just dashed. So I think President Trump understands that it is time to cut the head off the serpent, to be able to have a Western-backed, Western-thinking Iran, because I'm going to be honest about something, folks. Iran is a Western nation cloaked in Middle Eastern garb. Yeah. It has a language that is closer to our own that we're speaking right now than to Arabic. Islam is not the native religion of Iran. It was imposed.
No, they're Persian. They're Persian there. These are, people get confused about what Iran is and isn't.
Yes.
That is a Persian nation that has been co-opted by Islamic radicals, and really it has played out its time. The people are fed up with it, and we pray for a free Iran, because I firmly believe the Iranian people deserve their independence and finally get back to being who they are, which is not a state sponsor of terrorism. So
no, it's not their native aspect at all. I mean, Iran itself, indicates that. They speak an Indo-Aryan language just like we do. The Iranian people are much closer to us than we recognize, and God willing, they will be part of the Western world with the rest of us very, very soon, and be able to be free, as is all Western people that aspire to anything.
Absolutely. The State Department has issued a red alert, basically, for Americans to leave the region.
I don't know how many Americans are in Iran right now, but yeah, probably a good idea.
I'm sure there are, but even they've also issued that warning to those who can leave the area, because they don't want any collateral damage. They want to be. These strikes are going to be surgical. all the intelligence is in place. I have full confidence in the U.S. military to carry out a operation that is minimal in damage, but very effective in letting these radicals that are running the country know that there is no way out. So I hope that they take the olive branch that the president has offered and say, pack up and leave, and you will spare your country whatever's coming. So
no, and that needs to happen. But Hugo, before we move on, I want to ask you one question, given your age and experience. Were you alive during that for our audience to know, during that transition, during the fall of the Shah and the rise of the Ayatollahs?
Of course, I was 30 years old at the time. I remember very well the weak leadership from the president at the time, Jimmy Carter, and they took advantage of his weakness to basically take over a U.S. embassy in Tehran, and they held American hostages for 400 plus days. And one of the things I remember clearly is candidate Reagan at the time issuing a warning to Iran that the minute that he is inaugurated, those hostages, if they're not freed, they will pay the consequence. They meaning Iran. And lo and behold, Reagan won the election. And then when inauguration came around, interestingly enough, the day of the inauguration, I think it was the day before, Iran decided, we're going to free the hostages.
Inexplicably, it would seem. And isn't that interesting, Hugo, that we actually have the son of that deposed Shah? He is supported by the West and in Israel, many other countries.
Yeah, he's a Westerner.
I wanted to ask you about that. What do you think about the possibility of Iran restoring the Shah, having a constitutional monarchy as a transition to a free state where Iranians can be themselves? What do you think about that? Must be amazing to you, that you saw the fall, and maybe you'll see another rise again. But I want to know your opinion.
I think the best thing for Iran would be to have a more of a democratic style government where the people, choose their leadership and have a parliament like they had back then, and just let the people vote and have regular government there. I don't think they want a theocracy, and I don't think they want a monarchy. I think they want freedom for prosperity, because they could be a very prosperous country if operating under the law and with all their natural resources. That's what the people want. Yeah. The people want freedom, opportunity, and basically to get out from under the thumb of these theocratic
authoritarians.
They've been under their thumb for long enough, and they're fed up with it. In fact,
as they should be.
2 generations worth of people, and I've heard Iranians who are here in the country speak about it. They would love nothing more than the opportunity to return to their home country, a free Iran, and a prosperous Iran. So my hope is that bloodshed is minimal, if not at all. I prefer no bloodshed. I prefer that these mullahs understand that the president means business, and that they pack up and go to Putin, which is where their hotel room is waiting for them.
Next to Bashar al-Assad there. I'm sure they'll all have fun together.
Yep. So yeah, that's my thought on it. I want freedom for Iranians because I think that's an important country in the region, and it would help to stabilize that region tremendously, because it would mean the end of the money flow to those proxy
terrorists.
Proxy terrorist organizations. There would be no more Hamas, no Hezbollah, no more Houthis, because they'd have no money. So this is a huge strategic move, in my opinion. From what I've seen, that's the goal, is not only to cut off the head of the snake in Iran, but by extension, it's going to basically dry up the resources for all those terrorist groups in the Middle East. So, and if you do that, then you're going to have lasting peace. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Amen. Your words to God's ears.
Yep. All right. We have this interesting development that took place at the White House, and this grandma spoke in DC. It's a grandma of a murdered DC man firing back at racism claims against President Trump. So let's tune in to that, because I think this is a really good story, and she was really on fire.
One thing I like about him, he keeps it real, just like Grandma. I appreciate that, because I can trust him, because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over, because he allowed his constituents, his people, to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Oh man, I love that. That's a man of the people.
That's real culture right there too. Did you hear everybody in the crowd? It's like you had some brothers in the crowd. Like that was just beautiful.
Yep, and the liberal media was definitely listening to that. And I just love that kind of, raw emotion and truthfulness from a citizen, a fellow citizen who happens to be African American. But I can tell you this, she is not alone in that district. A lot of the Black community have understood what the left has done to this president, and they're fed up with it. It happened in Chicago, it happened in DC, and other places around the country. So I thought it was a very heartfelt comment that she gave, and basically told the left-wing media where to stick it. So I love that. And
it was very much deserved as well. I mean, for me, it was the expression of working class culture. It was the expression that we, in these cities, in these Democrat dominated cities, are literally under assault. I mean, you look at a map of incidents of places in the Middle East or Ukraine compared to the United States. I mean, the United States in many places is a war zone. It is a war zone. It is very unfortunate to say that. But DC, our capital, is one of the largest war zones there is. It's extremely sad when there's such a divide, because I think a lot of people don't know DC is basically split between the people of means that work in, the capital area, and the multitudes of poor people, mostly African Americans, who have been simply neglected by the politicians in DC for so long. Trump actually speaking to that and doing things about it, that is a massive boon for both the local black community, the local working class communities, but also for the administration, which now can say we've cleaned up the Capitol. That is very huge, especially when the Democrats would only be blabbering for so many years about when somebody stormed the Capitol, quote unquote.
Yeah, and the president did the right thing, bringing in the National Guard, cleaned up the streets. Crime went plummeting down. And what does the left do? Oh, he's invading. He's bringing in the troops to invade. Yeah.
How dare he?
Yeah. How scary for the president to do his job to protect the people. That's basically what they're saying is, we don't want the president to do that. We want the status quo to continue, and we'll just live with the murders and the rapes and the assaults taking place.
Well, they won't live with them. They'll force the working people of America to live with the murders and the rapes. They are very happy in their gated communities and very well protected by the DC police, which they ordered to stand down on January 6th, it should be said. Yep. But it is what it is.
All right, let's move up a little bit north of DC to the great state of New York. And, of course, New York City, where they inexplicably elected a communist for mayor after being promised the moon, and now the House of Cards is falling apart less than 2 months into his administration. So let's tune in to see what's going on there, because the mayor of New York is now under attack.
Received information that new data in the state's school aid formula will bring an additional $97 million to New York City on a recurring basis. All of that brings the fiscal deficit down to $5.4 billion. But I want to be clear, $5.4 billion is still a very steep mountain to climb.
He's lying. You know how I know?
Yeah.
His lips are moving.
And there are two paths that we can walk. One that offers long-term stability, and a second one with significant pain that we deeply hope to avoid. The first path repairs the structural imbalance between the city and the state. We want to work with Albany to raise personal income taxes by 2% on the 33.
By the way, the governor of New York, who actually backed this clown, has already retracted her support for him.
1,000 New Yorkers earning more than $1 million a year, and to raise corporate taxes on the most profitable corporations. And we know that for far too long, New Yorkers have given far more to the state than what we have received in return. It is time to end the drain.
I wonder what he means by we.
If we cannot follow this first path, we will be forced onto a much more damaging path of last resort, one where we have to use the only tools at the city's disposal, raising property taxes and raiding our reserves. This second path is painful. We will continue to work with Albany to avoid it. This first path will deliver the structural change that we need to recalibrate the relationship between the city and the state.
And there it is. Tax the rich and end the drain. Except he's not going to mention that the rich are moving out in droves.
Let's say taxing the rich will continue the drain.
Yeah.
Because as we know, New Yorkers contribute 54.5% of state revenue, but receive only 40.5% back. At the same time, New York City's portion of the state's GDP has grown by nearly 10% since 2010. That imbalance is untenable. Once again, I'm calling for Albany to end the drain. There is no third option of failing to balance the budget. By law,
he's calling Albany, but Albany isn't answering.
Ever since the fiscal crisis of the 1970s, which placed the city on the brink of bankruptcy, New York City has been legally required to balance its budget. We will do so. If we cannot pursue the first path, the only option we have remaining is the second path. At the heart of this path is a property tax increase. This would effectively be a tax on working and middle class.
Look at that. 9.5% property tax increase. That's over and above what they're already paying.
That's insane.
Class New Yorkers who have a median income of $122,000. The second path also requires us to raid our reserves.
If you've never lived in New York, $122,000 is a poverty level. You can't live in New York on $122,000.
It would mean withdrawing $980 million from our city's rainy day fund in fiscal year 2026 and $229 million from the Retiree Health Benefit Trust in fiscal year 2027.
Let's go after the retirees.
These are steps that have been taken before, but only in moments of extraordinary external crisis. Mayor Bloomberg's response to the 2008 financial collapse, and Mayor de Blasio's response to the enormous revenue shortfall caused by the pandemic. We do not want to have to turn to such drastic measures to balance our budget.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't.
My favorite part of that was when he gave the first plan, right? He's like, look, I'm going to tax the rich and corporations. And that's going to be a great thing. But then he immediately goes to, and if we don't do that, then I'm taxing all of you. And it's going to be worse than taxing the rich. It's like, did he just make a threat on top of promising to take your money? It was an interesting way to do politics in the modern day, I think.
Yep. And here's a little bit more about what New Yorkers voted for. And Sean Hannity says it best, I think.
Blue states now notorious for having major budget woes, but now that dysfunction is now working its way down to the local level. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is finding out the hard way that his city is spending way beyond their means because he wants to spend a whopping $127 billion, which, by the way, is more than the entire budget for this free state of Florida that I live in.
Notice where he's doing his press conference.
And he's staring down a massive budget deficit.
Well, he was at
Coney
Island. What's he doing at Coney Island?
Taxes, of course. Now, Zohran wants to see property tax rates in the city increase by almost 10%, which, of course, will almost certainly lead to similar rent increases and probably more mass migration. But that is only a Band-Aid. Zohran really wants a major tax hike on the wealthy, but Governor Hochul so far is not super keen on driving more tax revenue out of the state. So she's throwing Zohran a bone, an extra $1.6 billion to hold him over for now. For now, keywords. But what does he need more money for anyway? Well, just a few small things, $33 billion for pensions, debt service, plus an extra billion for illegals, another $30 billion for social services. New Yorkers, you're getting exactly what you voted for. Congratulations.
Amen to that. That's exactly what I wanted to point out. They're getting exactly what they voted for. And even the youth who were the ones that put him over the top are now demonstrating in front of his mansion that he lives in. So he's the man of the people living in a multi-million-dollar estate. And they're shouting at him with bullhorns and say, Mamdani, you lied to us. We didn't.
I think it's really telling that the previous Pope Francis actually chose not to live in the papal palace, but in the very humble apartments that occupy Vatican City. Mamdani could have done that. He could have easily just got some decently secured, nice apartment and been far better off. But no, he took the governor's mansion because he doesn't understand aesthetics at all.
This is his mother's mansion.
Governor's, yeah. When I say governor's mansion, yeah, mother's mansion. Forgive me, yeah.
He's living in his mother's mansion, not the governor's mansion.
Forgive me. When I saw Katie Holdo there, I always assumed that that's his long-lost stepmother. But that's really what's happening.
I'm sorry, backtrack. He's not living in the mayor's mansion in New York. He's living in his mother's mansion.
Well, Hugo, huge. His mom's mansion is much nicer than the mayor's mansion.
Of course it is. And it's got big gates around it and top security and, so he's not worried about getting attacked.
Biased, but I want to say something that I think it's telling that this man Mamdani, who has never really worked a day in his life, doesn't understand that the way that you raise tax revenue is not by raising taxes, it's by bringing people more jobs. More jobs means more income, which means more sales tax, more housing, which means more property tax. It means more productive enterprises, which drive the GDP of the city. We need young people to be able to get jobs, good paying, dignified jobs, which extract resources and provide services, not just these fake jobs for administrators and for these kind of bourgeois Democrats who only waste our time and money and who destroy our cities. We need jobs. Us young people need jobs. We need income. We're not getting it, and we're dying as a generation as a result. That's what Mamdani should be saying every day, but he's not, because he doesn't really care.
Yep. So let's go to another feel-good story about the president.
Another one.
A man of the people. He's currently on a economic rally tour around the country where he's talking about the economy and what the administration is planning for continued reduction in cost of living and other things. We've had story after story. People say, well, what has he really done in a year? And well, he's done quite a bit, but they expect everything that Biden, took 4 years to create. They expect them to just go away magically overnight. So they're saying, oh, he hasn't done what he said he was going to do. He's done a lot. What is gasoline costing? What is eggs costing? What is the energy situation happening now, especially with the new resources that we're going to have from Venezuela? We've got a lot of regular costs that are continuing to go down, but the job is not completed yet. And, he's just barely been in a year, and everybody that, of course, hate him, they want to bring that up. They want, oh, well, everything's still not, well, tell me this. Is it better than it was a year ago? And if you answer no, you're a liar.
And it should be said, who is it better for? And if it's not better in certain sectors, who is controlling those sectors? Trump doesn't have complete control of, for example, the banking sector, the financial sector. What he does have control over is, especially as president, foreign policy, which, as we saw with Venezuela, as we saw with actions against Russia and many other countries, Iran, these are all oil-producing countries. He understands that oil is what brings down costs. Oil is what drives the economy, no matter what people who think green energy can replace everything say. We will be driven by oil for some time, and Trump is using his power in the current chaos of the world that we live in today to help the common American people at where it matters most.
Yep. So he went into this fast food chain in Georgia and received a rather welcoming welcome.
Don't you love these?
Worked here a long time on that, right?
Oh, yes.
You get treated good?
Oh, yes.
I'm going to ask my guys, I'm totally serious. Get some hamburgers. I got to make a speech. Come back, and we're going to eat you, and we'll have them warmed up. Air Force One is nice warming. We can warm it around. We can do anything on Air Force One. 45 years.
24 years.
You're too young for that. Come on, wait. That's got a good one.
My president right there.
Come on. Hold on the cash register.
I love that.
Will you please sign my son? Thank you for everything.
Trump, will you replace Biden's signature for me? I know exactly what that is. I will. Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump.
That guy did to this country.
For sending troops to Nigeria. Thank you. Thank you.
Notice the distinct lack of angry crowds.
Yeah.
I thought this was the most hated president in history. I mean,
Mike Collins. Right in front of us. Yes, he's an awesome guy. He is a good guy. We love him. Mike Collins. Mike Collins. Mike Collins is going to win. Sounds great. Thank you, sir. That's why I had excited. We appreciate everything you've done.
I like how you made sure to autograph the hat that gentleman there who was standing patiently.
You know, he's a hard man.
Thank you, everybody.
We love you. We love you.
Trump. This is Trump different than yourself?
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, President. Thank you. I told them no tax on tips. Yes. No tax on overtime. Did that matter? Yes. She's worked here for almost 50 years.
Yes.
And she paid tax for all those years on those tips, right? Religious stuff. But not anymore. No more tax on tips. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And that's, but wait a minute. I thought the people didn't like him.
Well, you have to define what people, at that point, it's like.
Yeah, I'd use stronger language, but I'm going to keep it clean tonight.
Very nice. And as a reward, I think what would be great is if all of our viewers would go down and give a like to this video, subscribe if you haven't been subscribed before, press the bell button so you always see our videos and shorts, and you'll be right as rain for all of our upcoming announcements, which you will not want to miss.
All right. That's a great story. President Trump is with the people. All right. Now let's move on to some local politics here in Colorado. We've got a special meeting coming up this Saturday. It's a Zoom meeting from the State Central Committee. And I want to give a fair warning in advance before I put this image up. So make sure that you're not shocked by what you're about to see here. I keep wondering if she owns a hairbrush or not.
I'm just getting flashbacks to Sesame Street. I feel my childhood.
So the Colorado Republican Party has scheduled a party officer has scheduled a meeting of the party's State Central Committee to consider whether to curb state GOP chair Britta Horne's spending authority and hold a confidence vote in her leadership. But Horne said the party official who issued the formal call lacked the required legal authority. Not true. So the meeting won't take place. Not true. Organizers of the disputed meeting, however, told Colorado Politics that they are following party bylaws and intend to go ahead with the online meeting set for February 21st. The latest development in an ongoing battle over the direction of the state GOP comes as party officials prepare to hold precinct caucuses in early March, the first step in a weeks-long process to nominate Republican candidates to the June primary ballot. Last week, State Party Vice Chair Richard Holtorf, a former state lawmaker and congressional candidate, announced his intention to resign at the end of February, saying it was impossible to work with Horne. He's the second vice chair to quit the job while citing Horne's leadership style since Horne took office 10 months ago. The dispute over the February 21st meeting centers around a petition circulated by Horne critics last fall that sought votes to rein in party spending, cancel a lawsuit aimed at former party officials, and ask Central Committee members to register whether they have confidence in the continued leadership of Britta Horne. At the time, Horne characterized the attempt to call a meeting based on the petition as illegal and said it would have no effect. Well, she's wrong.
We've been here before.
She's right. Yeah. State GOP Secretary Russ Andrews who earlier ruled that the petition didn't meet requirements, reversed his position last week and said that its organizers had gathered the necessary number of signatures to force a special meeting of the Central Committee, a group of more than 500 Republican county officers and elected officials that typically convenes a few times each year. So after Secretary Andrews distributed the formal call, Horn fired back with a memo describing Andrews' call as invalid and without any legal authority. She was citing party bylaws and its decision by the party's executive committee in November that determined the petition submitted on the wrong form. Well, I was at that meeting because I'm on the XCOM, and I can tell you this. She totally gerrymandered that meeting. She basically ramrodded through her opinion, and of course her minions voted to invalidate the petition that had been submitted, but there was no basis in fact to do so. And since then, she has refused not only to hear the appeal, which is in the party bylaws, because the person who submitted the petition, Raymond Garcia, had the opportunity to basically appeal the decision of the executive committee to the state central committee, which would have required Britta Horn to call another special meeting to hear that appeal, which is within the bylaws. She flat out refused to call an appeal meeting. Therefore, she's in violation of the bylaws, among many, because she's violated, I've lost count how many times she's violated bylaws. But the basic premise is Britta is grasping at straws, who chairs the Raymond Garcia said that Britta was grasping at straws. He's the chairman of the Colorado Hispanic Republicans. And
shout out CHR.
Yes, and is an elected bonus member from El Paso County to the GOP State Central Committee.
Like yours truly.
Yep. And Garcia accused Horn of stalling an appeal he filed after the state executive committee decided he'd used an old petition form, but insisted that didn't matter since Andrews admitted he changed the form after Garcia began guarding.
Very newly old form.
Yep. So that's what we've got here. We've got a let's see what they what takes place Saturday. But in my opinion, it's not going to remove her on Saturday. But I hope that it ends up in a vote of no confidence, and that she is sanctioned for refusing to call the special meeting, and that she is ordered to stop spending party money on her illegal attorney, which is another issue.
That's the biggest issue, honestly, because that money should be going to caucus and assembly, and that's the biggest point.
And it just now came out, thanks to Secretary Russ Andrews, that on the day that she took office last March, actually the first week of April the 3rd, the party had a $90,000 legal bill delivered to them. Now explain to me how she just took office, right? She just hired this guy, and there's already $90,000 in legal bills. I smell a rat. I smell more than a rat, actually. And I have a petition right now, not a petition, a formal complaint filed against Stephen Klenda with the Office of Attorney Regulation Council, which is a body that investigates and regulates the ethics of attorneys in the state of Colorado. And my petition, my appeal, my complaint has reached a level that I've been told that less than 5 to 10% of the complaints reach this level, which indicates they're seeing validity to the complaint, and Mr. Klenda is going to be heavily investigated. And it is my sincere hope that he not only is sanctioned, but I would hope that eventually he would be disbarred, because he has committed criminal acts along with Britta Horn with regards to what they've been doing to the state party. And right now, as of Russ Andrews' memo, the party has a $141,000 bill owed to Steve Klenda.
And that's disgusting. I mean, this is what these establishment types do. This is what people with the big money do, is that they spend wildly on things they do not need to spend money on. And that's how they're going to govern if they're ever elected. If we cannot let these people become elected officials in our state, because all they know how to do is spend money. Those in the grassroots know how to save money and how to spend it wisely, because we've often been born into circumstances where we didn't have any. That's the American dream, is to rise to that point and never forget.
So stay tuned, folks. There's going to more coming on that. But before we go off the air tonight, I want to touch base on this another ridiculous bill coming from the state legislature. And this time, what the state legislature wants to do is what? They want to legalize prostitution.
A Colorado bill could make our state the first in the nation to fully decriminalize prostitution.
Yeah, Senate Bill 97, introduced last week, would legalize commercial sexual activity, both for people who buy and sell sex willingly. As you can imagine, the topic.
What is commercial sexual activity?
Stirring a lot of reaction.
And Fox 31's Nicole Fierro speaking to people on all sides of this topic tonight. She's joining us live now with the latest. Nicole?
Yeah, a sponsor of this bill tells us it's all about making it healthier and safer for people who willingly engage in sex work. But we talked to a woman who helps rescue victims of sex trafficking, and she fears this will only increase the very dangerous issue and could make it worse.
This is not what I would call a safe bill.
From an organization centered around helping human trafficking victims to a Colorado district attorney.
It is difficult to imagine a more unneeded, untimely, and reckless bill.
We're hearing input about Senate Bill 97, looking to decriminalize adult commercial sexual activity. Senator Nick Henriksen, a sponsor of the bill, says this is not the return of the old West or bringing back brothels.
The approach is saying what happens in the private bedrooms of consenting adults isn't the government's business, and the government will no longer be involved in that.
Are we going to turn Colorado into Las Vegas, or are we going to keep Colorado good for families?
This is not what is the legal framework at all in Nevada or Amsterdam. It is much more closely aligned with the framework of New Zealand and multiple states in Australia and Belgium.
He sent us this study that found sex workers exposed to, quote, repressive police practices had a higher risk of HIV and STIs. Criminalization disrupted sex workers' support networks.
Overwhelmingly, the data shows that the outcomes for reduced trafficking, reduced violence.
We're not talking about domestic human trafficking. We're talking about overseas different situations. So that does not apply here.
Yeah, that's enough of this nonsense. I mean, these people at the state capitol are just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what else. I posted something, this is the slippery slope. So next is going to come the legalization of pedophilia. You want to bet on that? You watch.
In this state, especially with the amount of money that comes in, that would not be shocking.
These people are sick, and I'm sick of them.
No, and us young people, I want to say before we go, us young people have been sexually victimized by this brave new world for far too long. OnlyFans, massive amounts of pornography addiction, and now they're legalizing prostitution. Why? To take young children, 18 and up, off the streets to be put into places where they can control them sexually. This is disgusting. This is awful. They are trying to tell us that we deserve to be prostitutes, not dignified Americans. We reject that.
They're trying to justify the stupidity, but let's be real here. The real reason is money. They want to tax it because they want to tax everything.
That's horrible, isn't it? Not only do you have to sell your body in this state, in America today, you get taxed by it. That's horrible. That is not what America represents, and that is not what Hispanic Patriot Podcast is going to allow.
I'm going to leave it at this. God will not be mocked. And this state, if they pass this bill and the governor signs it, this state is doomed. You watch.
Will be. Luckily, we have heroes at place to save it again.
We leave you with this sad story, but tune in next week when we're going to have a lively interview that we're planning.
You're not going to want to miss it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. God bless America. And please, Lord, save Colorado.
God bless you all.